Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Blacksmith Podcast, where we forge guys into men. Today, we are on Saturday. It is Saturday, and we are on Discord again for our financial segments. If you're not familiar with that, go to Blacksmith Podcast on YouTube. Go to playlists, and there's a whole playlist of hour-long Discords where you can get some live updates on what's going on in the world around you. All right, today we are going to jump right into it as we are actually running a bit late. You may see on your screen, let me see if y'all can see this. Yes, Lucid. Why are we talking about Lucid? First of all, what is Lucid? So Lucid is an electric car company. Chat, actually, y'all can use that, and I'll check that and see if y'all have a comment or something, put it there, and then I'll know to like pause and let y'all jump in. Lucid is an electric car company, but it's a luxury electric car company that IPO'd, I believe, around 2020 after they merged with another something capital, I think, company. The head engineer from Tesla left and created this car company. And I don't know if he had a falling out with Elon Musk. I don't know if they had a disagreement. I don't know what happened. But I will tell you, hey, share that to the chat, Wesley. I don't know if what happened, but I know he left and he started this company and it ain't doing so hot. So let's take a peek at this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm showing y'all something else we're going to be talking about, but let's take a peek at this. Lucid Group, here we go. So their stock is red hot. It's very expensive, $2.24. Let's look at the maximum. As you can see right here, this is September of 2020. This is when this thing IPO'd. And see, they had a good spike right here, February of 2021. It was at $52. If you got in at $52, brother, I am sorry. Hang on for dear life, because you are down $50 a share, and I know it hurts. But they're not realized gains or losses until you sell. If I were you, if you bought 100 shares at $52 or $55, listen, tell you right now, you better start researching something on electric cars and get in there with the CEO, CFO, and chief engineer and start talking to them about some innovation. Because if you sell those shares right now, heaven help you. The only way you are winning with this stock, getting it at the high, is if you got a put. And that's an option. And the guy to teach options is actually here. So that is, I don't know how much you would have earned from an option if you did a put on the high till right now, but you are sitting pretty. Other than that, And I have my theories about why, if you read right here, so right, they manufacture electric cars. It designs, develops, and builds energy storage systems for electric vehicles and supplies automakers with battery pack. System needed power hybrid plug-in electric vehicles. The company was founded December 2007, and it's headquartered in Newark, California. Oh, one of my buddies is calling me. I got to tell him I'm doing a show. Look, the CEO is Mark Winterhoff, 6,800 employees, and it was founded in 2007. But I think, what are we talking about, chat? I'm gonna pull this up too, good sir. Let me see. All right, I'm gonna leave that open and I'm gonna come back to it. All right. So Lucid, let's just look at what we got here. Let's look at their earnings. I think their numbers came in. So look, their estimated earnings was here and their actual earnings was here. It says they actually beat their earnings expected August 4th after hours. I don't know. It says they actually got their, let's take a look at their earnings. All right, they've got top 5 questions. Anyway, let me get back to some more information about Lucid, right? So Lucid, they're actually a luxury car company, and a lot of times, um, well, this is not a car company that. Let me start from the beginning. Okay, so you have a common men's car, right? Nissan, Ford, GMC, Chevy, um, all these common Honda, and then you have the upgrade version of those companies, right? The luxury brand of those common men's cars, because Toyotas is Lexus, Infiniti is Nissan's, Acuras, Hondas. So even those don't cost as much as Lucid. Lucid Air, I think, starts at like 68 or 70 something thousand. I hate that it always opens up to this page, but let's see. Let's look at Lucid. Lucid actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind owning one of these cars, but I definitely would mind spending my paycheck on one of these cars. I know. No one's going to give it to me, so don't worry about it. I'm not going to own it. All right, see, 579 for a car payment, that's just too much. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. This is a financial show, so I'm not sorry. But look, so you can get it at 69 grand in Air Pure. So let's see. Let's go into this. Let's see what we're offering. 5,300 due, or might as well say 5,400 due at signing. You can buy or lease for 36 months. Now let's look at their Air Pure. 66 grand. The lease payment is 622. Lord have mercy. Not me. All right. Hold on. What's chat talking about? What you talking about, chat? How soon can you put a put on a newborn IPO stock? Can you do this topic for later? I tell you what. DE is probably the best person to weigh in on that one. He knows options a lot more than I do. So when I'll open the floor up. Whenever if you want to weigh in on that one, just throw it in the chat, and whenever you're ready, and I'll pause for you to go ahead and do that. So one of the things I like about Lucid, right? I like the luxury aspect, but you have to remember, folks. Please remember, a car is a car. It's transportation. I don't care if it can do air conditioned seats, and I don't care if it can rub your neck and back and shoulders and feet while you drive. I don't need a personal chef to come with the car. Rocket boosters would be nice, but where are you going 200 miles an hour on these congested streets of California, at least for me, right? If it can fly me to and from work safely, now that would be something. With all that darn traffic on the 15, that would be something I'd be interested in. But I don't care about all that stuff. I don't care if it's Peruvian leather and, Madagascan wood grain. I don't care about all of that. All that does is add more money that you have to pay for this car every single month. And all that does is take away from the money that you could be investing and growing. You're losing buying power for purchasing your first home, or investing in your kids' education, or your IRA and stuff like that. So let's not get caught up on cars, but we do want to take a look at these. So the horsepower, that's a lot of horsepower for a car, right? 4.5 seconds, 0 to 60 in the range. This is the one I care about the most, 420. Now, this gets more than Teslas do. On a single motor, I'm pretty darn sure about that. Let me use allegedly before I get sued. Hold on. Because I'm pretty well versed on Teslas as well. Let's look at a Model 3. See, as you can see, Tesla's way cheaper. See that? Model 3, top speed 125, less horsepower, 4.9 seconds to 0 to 60. And then it says range is 363. So the long range rear wheel is, I guess that's the 363. Yeah, long range all-wheel drive is 346, and performance all-wheel drive is 298. Why would I spend $748 a month on a car that's getting less range? I mean, I guess if you don't care about the range, I mean, if you got it like that, but let's make this make sense, right? Electric over gasoline, it's about clean energy, right? But gasoline gets you range and electricity doesn't, especially as you pour on more speed. So the faster you go, the more electricity it uses. So one time I had this issue with the battery, right? And it really wasn't an issue like problem per se. I was just trying to get the best range out of the battery. The car was 4 years old when I got it. I got it December of 22. And so it's an 18. And so the battery was only getting me 227, 234. And I think when it came out, it was advertised for 260, maybe. And so I was asking about that, and the engineers were like, "Oh yeah, your battery range is still good." So they were looking at how fast I was going. They can actually see everything on their side, right? And they told me, "Okay, listen, you probably didn't notice, but under 65 miles an hour, like 64, they said 65, but they really were alluding to 64 and under, you get mile for mile, what the range says it is, right? But they said at 70 miles an hour, you double your battery usage. At 80 miles an hour, which is what I may or may not have been going, allegedly, maybe they were just telling me, it's quadruple the battery usage. So somebody made a comment on a YouTube video I saw. What they were talking about electric cars. They were like, they showed cop cars that were like Teslas or something. And they said high speed chases are now 30 seconds long and that's it, or something like that. So I don't know. I found that amusing. Anyway, carrying on. So the Model 3 gets you less range, and I bet you it's a lot slower. When you talk about quickness, the horsepower has less. So when you add this up, what is it? What's the full price of this? It's not saying. Man, I ain't ordering. What's the price of this? Okay, look. So it's only $36,600. So now let's look at Lucid again. $66,000. So these cars almost double what the basic model Tesla is, and it gets more range. Now, this one's faster, more horsepower, gets less range. Anyway, so just so you know what Lucid is, if you're interested, that's their website. Don't buy that. I mean, I can't tell you what to do. I don't think it's fiscally responsible for you to buy a car of this nature. Not trying to be sued. Thank you. Okay. Let's go back to Lucid. So Lucid's stock price is down. Let me look at the chat real quick. DE, if you look at these comments and you want to jump in here, just let me know. Okay. Oh, you already did weigh in. This is you. I'm not going to lie. I don't know anything about IPOs, but every exchange determines when they put options on their exchange. So it would be completely up to Robinhood when they open options up for trading on a company. Do you want to comment on this one, or is this what you see is what you get?
I mean, it's kind of what you see, what you get. It's up to. I just use Robinhood as the example because I'm sure that's what most of us are using. But it's basically up to Robinhood when they want to put options on the market. So, like, if I was Robinhood, I would wait till 45 to 60 days after IPO because. After 30 days, everybody's going to dump their shares because you're locked into your 30-day period when you buy IPOs. So if I was Robinhood, I'd post them 45 to 60 days after IPO. But I think technically they can go up to like 90 days or something like that.
So, question. You said when you buy shares from an IPO, you can't dump them right away, correct?
So I think technically you can dump them, but Robinhood specifically gives you basically a warning that if you do dump them before 30 days, they're just going to ban you from ever buying IPOs again. So it would be behoove you to not dump them if you ever want to participate again.
Okay, fair enough. So I don't plan on getting barred from buying IPOs, so I probably wouldn't do that. However, if you know anything about IPOs, when a company is public, and we can look at that again. What was it? What did I put? Private. It should be in here. No, equity requirements. All right. So to invest in private companies, just so everybody can have a visual, let me get rid of the chat because I think that's blocking it. There we go. All right. Private equity investments typically require a substantial minimum investment, often ranges from $250 to $1 million. But the investors must meet the requirements. So they need to earn, if they're single, at least $200,000 a year, or if they're married, joint $300,000, right? And then you have to have a certain amount of certain net worth. And I think, look right here, you're required to have 5 million in assets. And it can't be your primary home, right? Because anybody can buy a home and sit on it or pass it down for a few generations, and now it's $1 million home, but they themselves are earning 35,000 a year or something like that. So you have to pretty much be millionaire status in order to invest in private companies by and large, right? There are some exchanges that will allow you to invest in private companies. If you do some research, like one we're going to talk about later on, Boxable, you can actually become a private investor in the rounds before they get their public evaluation and IPO and go public on the market. And what typically happens is the private investors, when the company's first starting out, they will offer 200 grand, $1 million, or whatever. They'll do a round of investing and say, hey, we need to raise $2 million in this first round of investing. So they'll raise that that $2 million. Maybe they go to 10 investors, they give them 200,000, and they give them shares of the company at 20 cents per share. And whatever that buys you out of 200,000, well, let's just bring up the calculator and do it so we can get a visual. What I say, 200,000 divided by, was it 0.2? A million shares? Cool. So a million shares, and then they'll do a second round, third round, or however many rounds until they collect all the money that they need to collect, maybe $10 million. And then they'll get their public evaluation. They'll go public, and now they'll go on a public trading exchange like New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, all that kind of stuff. Dow Jones, I mean. And what happens now, the common man can invest in the stock. But now, after their public evaluation, maybe they IPO and each stock now is worth $40 a share. See the difference? They got it $1 million at 20 cents per share, and you can buy 100 at $40 a share, or 5 at $40 per share. So what happens is for a month or 2 or 3, that stock will go up. It's usually earlier than that from what I've seen. Usually in the first month or 2, that stock will go up and then plummet. And I'll tell you why. Because the early investors, what they'll do, the ones who got it for 20 cents a share, let's bring up the calculator. I'm going to minimize this because we're going to use this. So the cats that got in at 20 cents per share, when it IPOs at $40, let's say it goes up to $50 per share, right? Then we're going to take out 0.2. So that's what they have per share. That's the equity they've earned in each stock. And we said $1 million, right? No, we said 1 million shares. That's how much money they would earn if the stock went, if they got in at 20 cents with $200,000, they got 1 million shares, and the stock went up $10 after it IPO'd at $40 to $50. That's how much money they would earn. You see why the rich get richer? So Robinhood is our MVP stock over here because a myriad of reasons, but Robinhood is fighting to allow the common man to invest into privately owned companies so that you could do this. Now, my number would be a lot smaller, but I will tell you, if I knew I could run this play on a company, I would be borrowing from family. I'd be taking loans against my retirement. I would be using my house as collateral. Man, listen, I'd be selling more t-shirts. I'd be doing whatever I got to do to get that number as close to that as possible. Because when that company IPOs and you sell it, let's say you sold it in the first month because it went up to $50 before it plummets and you got barred from ever doing IPO ever again. Oh, well. At 49 million, I think I'd be willing to do that. I'm moving to Puerto Rico where I'm paying no tax. And that's just what it's got to be. Anybody in the chat want to weigh in on anything before I keep going?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that very same game plan, and that's why I was asking about if you can get in pre-IPO, and then if you're allowed to sell within, so long after a stock just hits the market, because this is a strategy, this is a play that you can run over and over. If you know when something's going to IPO, you can essentially get in early if the company allows it, and then sell right at the gate. You can also set limiters like 20%, you see 20% gain, then do a limit sell and just get rid of it before you get greedy and lose it. So, but if Robinhood is doing that, that's not going to be a decent strategy for long term. So we may have to find other financial markets that allow for you to do that so that you can kind of rinse and repeat. That's all I was getting at. And thank you, Alpha Delta, for pointing that out.
Do you mean if they're stopping you from doing that, are you talking about like liquidating the shares within the first, I can't remember what he said, 30, 60, 90 days?
Correct, though.
Okay, but here's the thing. Watch what I'm gonna say now, right? We can't be greedy all the time. Watch this. And I know what you're saying, and I actually agree with you, but watch this. You got in at 20 cents, right? Now, let's take Robinhood as an example. We'll come back to Lucid's call because I know what we were on. Let's take Robinhood as an example because they IPO'd in the last 5 years. Let's go to Max. Right here, right? The tail end. September 29th is about to be 5 years? No, 4 years. All right, so anyway, they IPO'd at $38, right? Now watch this. I told you it's quick. Look here, August 6th. The very next week, it was up at $55. And then the plummet actually started a week after it IPO'd. So I bought at 47, my first 3 shares. I remember that. I bought at 47. And this is one of the reasons I don't buy IPOs anymore, although I am I am signed up to buy an IPO right now. But I have a limit order for it because now I know about that. If it's going to IPO more than this much, I don't want it because I'm sure it's going to tank. So if anything, I don't know if they'll let you put options on it when it first IPOs. I bet it probably doesn't, but I'm putting a put on it. Anyway, so I'm going to become an IPO shark because I'm going to start doing puts. Anyway, if you look at this one a week afterwards, 2 weeks after that, look, it's down at 42. Now watch this. You're still up if you bought it at IPO prices. So you could see it coming. You're still up $4.64. So now it goes up again, 46. Now it goes down. Now it goes up. Now it goes down. Now watch this. It falls all the way down here, June 24th of 22. And it stays roughly, now it's riding away. Now, let's look at our investment here. And this is what I said about being greedy, right? I use greedy loosely. I don't mean it as an attack, but watch this. If you got in, what are we looking at? What's that price right there? It was, where was that? $7.95? I think that's about as low as it got. 719. Let's go at 719. Because that seems to be the bottom. Well, we already know what it is. It's 699. 699. So 699, because it's 719 minus 20 cents. We can do the math. So 799 and 699, and you got 1 million shares, right? You still up $6.99 million. So if you, and then watch this. Now, if you're a long-term strategist, right? So you could take, what was the millions? It was some heavy million, 39 million, something like that. The first one, whatever it was, 49 million, something like that. I could take that and be barred forever. 49 million. Okay, thank you. 49 million. So that's a big difference. Now, if you want to talk about doing it the right way versus the wrong way, however, over time, if they allow you to buy IPOs and do private investing versus public, over time, you would actually stand to earn more money than if you just waited. So if you were looking for a return on investment, or if you're looking to just snatch this run and never be seen again, 49 million, take it and go. You're going to pay taxes on it, but take it and go. But what I would do, even if you sold this at the bottom at 719, you're still earning like $7 million off of this. So what you can now do is take this and run this play several different times on another company. Imagine all the 200,000 you have in here right now. Or you could go 400,000. You could go 500,000, and you can run with this money right here. You could do that again on multiple different companies. And if you hold them 4 or 5 years, you shouldn't be investing less than that. If you hold them 4 or 5 years, look right here, $65.28. And it just went higher recently, $65.75, right? So if you held it here, you would actually be up more than that first 49 million. You'd be up more. I'm not going to do the math because you just understand you're up more than what you would have been up. So if you can hold for long term, do that. But this is why I think it's so important that Robinhood is fighting against the SEC and Congress, right, to allow the common man to invest in the private companies. If no one else has got nothing to weigh in on that, I'm going to go ahead with Lucid and the news I was going to talk about. We're doing a different kind of segmented show this time. We're letting people mic it up. And I think that's what I'm going to do with these shows. When I'm not just on such a teaching spree, we're going to open it up to the chat and let them weigh in on it. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Lucid.
How about now?
Oh, go ahead.
Hey, so that's the other question I had, and I'm glad you mentioned it, but it was to ask if we know, I'm going to kind of expand the question. Do we know of any trading platforms that are friendly to allow you to put puts on IPOs? Because most predictions, and they would be accurate, is that once it IPOs, it's going to have a sharp increase, and then it's going to have that sharp downfall. So if you kind of know that that's happening for more stocks than not, you can kind of, it's a waiting game at that point.
You know what?
So do we know of any platforms that are friendly to that?
I don't, but you know what? DE might be the best one to weigh in on that. Maybe he might know. And again, I don't know when they actually allow you to even start putting options on an IPO. It could be right away. I have no idea, but I don't know of. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes. Some stocks, they do tend to wait a while before they allow it, which, I mean, obviously, if more people knew about that simple strategy, I don't think it'd be very beneficial.
But look,
to Robinhood long term. So,
can you see my screen right now with the chat open?
You got, kind of, yeah.
Where I'm scrolling in the chat right here. If you scroll back up in the chat, one of who is this? Y Invest. He posted right here where you can be a non-accredited investor and invest in companies from this right here. So you may be able to try these exchanges or these actual. I don't know if this is an exchange or what this is. I actually didn't go into it. I forgot about it until just right now. So I'm gonna actually I'm gonna go into this after the live and see what we can find. All right, let's get to Lucid.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Nope, you're probably going to hit it already with.
I don't know if I will. What's up?
A future about Boxable and Boxable and how to get into it. That's all.
I'm gonna do that later, but let me get into Lucid right now. So in the news, Lucid stock price is down 2.5%. Is it time to sell? Again, here we go. Now, this is market beat, but this is the news, right? And what does the news tell you? When a stock is all green, it's time to buy, right? That's what they tell you. When a stock is green, okay, this is all green. Hold on. It's red right here. So you gotta go into it. So in the pre-market yesterday, it was down, right? So that's red. They say it's dead. Don't buy it. And then when it's green, they say, oh, it's up, it's surging, it's soaring, it's time to buy. Now I wonder, the news anchors have to tell the news as they have been told to report the news, right? However, that is absolutely the wrong strategy. You should be, and this is why we teach against what they tell the normal person, the average everyday Joe or American, because that's the wrong way to invest. You don't buy a stock when it's soaring to all-time highs, and that's exactly what they tell you to do. No, when it was dead when it was red, but they were see right here was August 6th of 2024. That's when you should have bought it. That's when you should have bought it. You should have brought wheelbarrows of money to the exchange and you should have bought it right here. Because now that it's up at 65.75, even if you needed the return on investment quickly, well, if you'd have held it for less than a year, look, you're up at $65. You could have sold it and earned all that money off of it and traded it. But they tell you to buy when it's surging to all-time highs, and that's just not correct, people. That's not the way you buy it. When it's green and it's going towards all-time highs, you stay away from those. When it's high, you don't buy. When it's low, time to go. And I mean go time, like green, like buy it. So when it's red, it's not dead, but when it's red, it's dead for selling. You don't sell at an all-time low, but when it's near an all-time low, you buy it, especially if the company has good direction. See, in the past year, this stock has gone up 200%. So you should have bought it a year ago. Right now at $65, I would tell you not to buy it because look at where the 52-week high is. It's $67. But the news will tell you Robinhood's doing great, buy it. And all you're going to do is push the price up even higher, way faster. So people who got in at certain prices, earlier investors are going to sell and it's going to bring it back down. Or when they do that another evaluation of the company, they're going to say the stock is overinflated, right? So they have very smart people on this who do evaluations, and they're going to tell you, well, it's not worth $80 a share. It's actually worth this. And when they say that, investors are going to pull out because it's going to drop the price down. And so just don't do it that way. Let's get to Lucid. So Lucid dropped down 2.5%. Is it time to sell? No, don't do that. Well, I can't tell you that. If the company's going under, I'm just telling you that's not the way you should be buying and selling stock by listening to the news. Once it's already made the news, you've already missed the gains. If it's fallen off the map, you've already missed the opportunity to put an option betting that it's going to go down. You've already missed most of your gains that you would have gotten. If it's soaring, you already missed your opportunity to buy in early. That's what I'm saying, right? So I don't know. It could be falling off the grid. Now let's go back to it. Lucid Group. All right. So Lucid, we were going over the CEO and stuff. But look, 52-week high was only 443. So that's in the past year. Where's the high at? It looks like it's this mountain peak or the one before. 426. So is this it? 425. It says 443. Whatever. Let's just go with this 425 right here. So this is July 12th of 2024. So less than a year ago. But as you can see, it's been falling off the map. What's going on with Lucid? What is the news? Why are they falling off the map? I don't know enough about it, so we might have to come back to it, but I just wanted to bring this up. I don't invest in automotives, and I'm going to tell you why. Anything with wheels depreciate, right? So anything with wheels, I'm talking motorhomes, I'm talking cars, they don't appreciate, they depreciate. And any car company right now trying to get into the business is going to find it very, very tough. Imagine if you were a new drink trying to come on the market as a soda or a pop or whatever the heck you call a carbonated beverages. Some people are just weird and call them all Coke. Imagine if you were doing that. Do you know how much competition you have out there? It's not saying that you can't get it and you can't be successful, but even to get up to the levels of Pepsi and Coke, I'm sorry, you've got a lot of competition even down here. You got the cane sugar ones. I think they're Jones or something like that. You got all these, I don't want to call them knockoff brands, but you have all these B and C grade tier sodas that you need to get past. And then you have like Kirkland. Isn't that what's Kirkland? Is that Walmart's brand? It's Walmart or Costco. Costco's got their own brand. Walmart's got their own brand. Target has its own brand. You got to get past them. They make those like soda waters that are flavored. You got to get past all those people in order to make it. And the car company is the same way. Kirkland is Costco. Thank you. Good sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar, no matter what Ramses says about you. And he says a lot. Anyway, moving on. So Lucid coming into the car game was already late. Ford, GM, Toyota, Honda. I mean, you name it. You keep going. Nissan. Let's get with the German engineering. Volkswagen, BMW. You got Mercedes. And we ain't even we hit some luxury brands, but we ain't even hit the supercars. Ferrari, Porsche, but they're not in that market really. They're not in the supercar market. They're in the luxury brand market. So already for a car, common man, with $66,000 price tag, you already priced them out. So now you're a luxury car brand. So now you are competing with BMW, Mercedes, and let me think of another one, Infiniti, right? You're already competing with them. Yep, I'm already live. Thank you. So anyway, now you want to be an electric car company. And yeah, the head engineer left and of Tesla left and created this one, but Tesla's the home brand, man. I mean, they're the name brand. They're the household name brand, right? And they don't just make cars. They're a car company. They're a technology company that makes cars because they got solar panels, power walls. They make a lot of stuff, right? You could call them a car company or a technology company. I don't care. But get what I'm saying. That's a huge mountain to climb when it comes to competition. And then you had Rivian come out, and then you had doesn't NIO make cars too? NIO? I don't think they're doing too hot either. And then you have BYD over in China, and they are chewing it up. Let me see. Let's see BYD. But my point is this. You have a lot of competition trying to come in and get into that market. And it's pretty exclusive. Reject all. I ain't doing that. All right, let me see. Let's see if we can see one of their cars. Come on. Wait, models? Is that it? That's the only one? I heard these cars were hot. All right, I'm scrolling through it. I was trying to see if I could see. All right. I don't care about this stuff. All right, so they have multiple colors. Great. That's not what I'm looking for. All right, they have a dashboard. That's digital. Great. Instrument cluster. Okay, I'm trying to get to the. All right, don't care. Here we go. Drag coefficient. Okay, 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. 300 plus mile range. That ain't good enough. Don't tell. Okay, 375 for all-wheel drive. Here we go. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. 4.2 seconds, so it's fast. And 341 is the range. But you see, you got competition, right? And I don't know if Lucid, let me see what we got in the chat. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to that in just a second. I'll talk about that. I shouldn't have checked it until I was ready to talk about it. But I thought it might be relevant right now. I'm going to talk about it in a second. So Lucid has a lot of competition trying to jump in the electric car race. And honestly, I think it would have been better, even if they were going to be a luxury car company. You don't really want to mix luxury cars with common man cars, but you probably should have had a line of cars, maybe like try to do a Honda and Acura. You could be Lucid up here, but you should have probably created one at the bottom first, at the common man's vehicles that were electric that could compete with some of the cheaper ones, because now all the common man's cars are making electric vehicles. Now Volkswagen's making them. I forget what that thing is called, EOS or something. You got, who else is making electric cars, chat? Everybody. Everybody's got hybrids or electric cars. Honda has that Clarity, that's that fuel cell car. I mean, you've got a lot of cars in the industry, and that's just my point. So I think, not to beat a dead horse, they just have so much competition. So they're talking about the price going up and down. I left this here so y'all could be reading this, right? But basically the stock is going down, and they're trying to say what's causing it, yada, yada. And one of the guys in the chat, he is very astute on this, but he got into an option because he had heard that they were going to be partnering with SoundHound. I'm going to tell you right now, they're asking, I thought I saw on here, should you invest $1,000 in them right now? I ain't doing it. I'm not touching it. I'm just not touching it. I don't see, show me something that tells me that Lucid has a hedge on the market and how they're going to outpower and perform GM, Mercedes, Toyota, and all of them, because I guarantee you they're doing better than this. You got to show me something, and I don't see anything. But what he was telling me is that back in January of this year, right, so almost 6 months ago, SoundHound was like partnering with them to do some stuff. So let's get into this right now. Excuse me. Whew. All right. Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Let's get some news here. So SoundHound is a voice AI maker, but if you didn't catch the video where I went over their earnings call, you need to go. Don't stop this video, but go back and watch the one with SoundHound. It was very innovative, and it tells you a lot of what they're getting into, right? Who they're partnering with, the direction of the company. But I'm trying to figure out, okay, right here, Lucid Assistant. So they're helping them with the Lucid Assistant, a hands-free voice assistant offering customers an easy and intuitive way to control many vehicle functions by speech. Obviously, now that's important, right? Take the name out of it, but the assistant, the driving assistant, because not everybody has a passenger in the seat that can do all the functions for them. Obviously, we're trying to find safety is a big concern, right? And most accidents nowadays are really caused by distracted driving. If you really think about it, most people, I drive by people every day, man. And this is exactly why my wife is like, you're not getting a motorcycle. Although she relented on that recently. Thank you. We're right here. So You drive by somebody, they're like this. You drive by them, this is what you see. Or you get the girls. Mouth is always open. Why is your mouth open? What are you doing? You're putting on makeup, you're putting up on makeup with your eyeballs, and they're supposed to be watching the road. You see people fiddling with the screen as you go in, like you see people looking down and stuff. Distracted driving. That's why people are getting into accidents, crashing, dying, all of that stuff. So when you have an assistant where you can do all that stuff driving wise, that ain't gonna help the. But when you have all the when you have an assistant AI that can say, navigate, where would you like to navigate? Golden Chopstick. If y'all don't know about it, you better. There are 2 locations for Golden Chopstick in San Diego, California. One in National City and one in Mira Mesa. Which one would you like to navigate to? Mira Mesa. Mira Mesa it is. It is currently 43.6 miles away, and you're going to continue on the 15 for approximately 26 more miles, and then you're going to get off at, you see what I'm saying? The AI assistant, right? That stuff is very, very important. So you would think, dang, they're partnering with SoundHound. They're working on this voice assistant. They're probably going to do numbers. Well, there is some more news about Lucid. Now, this one's old news because it's from January. But let me see if I can find that article, and I'll tell you some new news on Lucid. Lucid pre-orders news. Because I found this out the other day, right? That's not new. Where's that article? No. Here we go. So I found this out the other day, right? I keep my ear to the ground all the time. Get out of here. Thank you. All right. So every time I see Newark, I think of NJ, New Jersey. Anyway, so and I'm trying to find it. It's funny because they're talking about Tesla right here. So there it is. Okay, look. Lucid went public after a Churchill Capital merger. That's it. I couldn't remember the name of the company, but it's right here. It's Churchill Capital Corp. I couldn't remember, but that's who they merged with. So I'm trying to find the news where basically what they did, they suspended their pre-orders. Here we go. Custom orders remain suspended. It's right here in the title. So Lucid shares dropped 9% as custom orders for Air sedans remain suspended. So what did they do? They suspended their custom ordering. So you can go on Lucid and you can have it your way. Burger King, right? I think that's Burger King. You can have it your way because what you can do is you can order it to spec. You want your name embroidered in the seats, that's fine. You want whatever kind of trim, you can get it. But what does that do? If they were a custom order only company, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But they also make cars to like a regular just spec and put them on the line for people to buy. So if most of your orders are coming through and they're custom, then those cars are just sitting there, right? And so they want those cars to go. And here's going to be your problem. Those cars are so luxurious. I don't know how much each one costs to make. Let's say each car actually costs $20,000 to make, right? Now you're selling it at 66. So you're tripling your profit is like 40 G's or whatever. So I guess what is that? Triple? Y'all get what I'm saying? You profit like 46 off of each car, right? But you have expenses and stuff. So when it all boils down, you may only make $5,000 on each car at that price point if it costs you that much. Now I'm just doing an example here, right? So if those cars aren't moving and you're only doing custom orders, well, those cost you more to make anyway. because you got to do special stuff to them. And remember, buy in bulk, you get it cheaper, but do custom stuff or buy less. So you're just doing one of one and your embroiderer is just embroidering Bradley Princeton on the backs of the seats in every car. Well, that's just one order and it's just him and that's one name. You're going to have to pay more for that. So your price point goes up for what you're making the car for. So, but they pay more for the car, but most of your cars where you've already factored in your earnings for are sitting right there on the line. So they're not moving. And so what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to lower the price of your cars if they're not selling. Your shareholders want their return on investment. If you pay a dividend, they want that dividend. If you are an equity stock, they want that equity. They're getting less value for what they've invested in. So what are you going to do? You have to move cars. So the only thing you can really do, you can put out more advertisement and marketing, but guess what? That costs money, baby. So now what are you going to do? You got to lower the price of the cars. You have to lower the price of the cars. If you don't do something, or you better innovate or something and make those cars more attractive. But what's going on out here? Look around, and this is why I'm talking about Lucid so long. Look at the economy right now. People are talking about they're losing jobs. So work from home jobs for government employees got suspended or cut or reduced in number. Everybody's going back to work or they're getting fired and stuff like that. People are talking about they're out of work. Paychecks have not kept up with inflation, all this kind of stuff. And this is everything we talk about on this channel, right? So where are people finding 66 grand and up to buy these cars at scale? They're not. So what you're going to have to do is lower the price of the cars. And you don't really want to do that because what will happen is you have the high society. A lot of them want to stay separated from what they would call low society or common society and middle tier society. They don't want to drive what the common man is driving. They want to show that I'm up here. This is the point. This is why a lot of people, a lot of common men try to get a Mercedes, try to get a Beamer because they want to show that they're up here when their paycheck is down here. And that's very dangerous. If your paycheck is here, you are here. And if you try to show that you're up here, you're going to go from here to here. You can't even see the bottom of where my hand is. And I got long arms. It's down past my kneecaps. I'm 5'10", by the way. So, and darker skin. All right, so what I'm getting at is that they are not able to move their inventory. That's going to be the biggest problem facing Lucid because they're a luxury brand. And if you didn't know, with the tariff situation, luxury brands are struggling the most. Versace, Gucci, LVMH. Look at all the brands under the stock LVMH, right? While we're talking about it, let's look. It's not just cars. LVMH. Let's see, companies. Let's see if we can find them all. Look, Christian Dior, Givenchy, Bulgari, Loewe. I don't know. Fenty Beauty, Guerlain, Tag Heuer, Aqua de Parma. Look, you can read. All right. Celine, I think that might be from Celine Dion. I don't know. I'm just throwing a shot in the dark. I might be wrong. Is this Celine Dion? Okay, designer Celine Vipiana. Okay, I was wrong. All right. That's the last guess I'm making. But you can see all of these, right? And I think it's just one dude that owns all these, right? They are having a big problem because all of their stuff is manufactured where? In China. And so when you put tariffs on it, actually a lot of Chinese folks, they're jumping on TikTok and they're making videos about how a lot of the stuff that we get over here that we think is like designer brand is knockoff. They show how it's made and all that kind of stuff. And they did it in response to the tariffs, like, ha, y'all are laughing at us, but these bags cost us like $5 to make, and y'all are buying them for $30,000. We get them for like $10. Hey, what can I tell you? Don't question my ability to read. You want a fresh one? Anyway, LVMH. So luxury brand is really having I'm gonna get you. A luxury brand is really having a hard time with selling their product, moving product. And so I say all of that to say this: I'm not touching Lucid. I don't know if y'all think the same way. Lucid has shown me nothing to say that they are actually innovating enough for me to want to invest in them. Let's look at some of the top 5 questions, right? We might look at them all. Let's try and go through them quick. Chat, y'all got anything for me real quick before I go into this? Anything to add, take away, or anything? Going once, going twice, Lucid. All right, so with the acquisition of the Nikola factory, hold up now. Can the mid-size rollout and ramp be accelerated than previously planned? Okay, I had to read the rest of it. It didn't make sense. Also, does this acquisition minimize the capital expenditure than previously planned? Okay, so this is what I was talking about, innovation, right? Acquisitions, mergers, or I guess it's called mergers and acquisitions. They usually have a whole department or division dedicated to these large corporations, mergers and acquisitions, because a lot of times you think a company just grows internally. No, Microsoft has done this. Apple has done this. They go merge with somebody or they acquire a new company that could later on be competition. They just acquire them and make them a new division or department of their company. Now it helps expedite their growth. Know what I'm saying? All right. So I didn't know Nikola is Neo, right?
No.
It's not? What is Nikola?
Nikola's the worst investment I ever made in my life.
Oh my God. You want to talk about it? What is this?
It's just like it's just another car company. It was 4 or 5 years ago. They were looking good, so I bought like 3 shares at like $90 a piece, and then when they were $2 a piece, Robinhood delisted them.
Ooh. All right, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I was laughing with you. I could hear the jovialness in your voice. So it looks like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop. All right, so it looks like they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy right here. You see this? Did you notice?
How long ago was that?
It says February 2025. So maybe that's why they're liquidating everything. That's why Lucid was able to buy one of their factories.
That makes sense. I lost about 99.8% on that investment.
But real quick, didn't they? Ooh, I tried that little short key I just learned yesterday. All right, so didn't Nikola just IPO during COVID? Oh, they're delisted. I can't look them up. You just said that. Shoot. Didn't they IPO not that long ago? Or do you not know?
I'm not 100% sure when they IPO'd. I Googled it. Nikola went public, not through a traditional IPO, but by merging with a special purpose acquisition on June 4th, 2020.
Yeah, I knew it. I thought I heard Nikola IPO in 2020. And so the thing with Nikola, they ain't been around long. And you see what I mean? Nikola came into the game. I think I closed the window. Did I close the window? I was going to say, there it is. So it's an American company. I didn't know that. And it sells commercial battery electric vehicles, right? That's what I'm talking about, folks. Pay attention because they're a car company. And to make matters worse, they're an electric car company. You have so much competition, and really you don't have that much electric car company competition, but you have a lot of electric car competition because now even common men's vehicles that are petroleum based historically, they are now making hybrid and electric vehicles. So now you have even more. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Look, they survived 4 or 5 years. They're out of the game. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm not touching car companies. Look, and especially, I'll tell you something else that's putting a lot of car companies out of business that folks aren't thinking about. And a lot of people are getting these from China. I have a neighbor, right? He buys in bulk these electric powered bicycles. Not the dirt bikes, but just electric powered bicycles that get you like 40 something miles on a full charge. I don't know if you can pedal it and charge it. That would make sense. It would be a good idea. Or if you just plug them in, right? And I don't know how long they take to charge, but he and his wife, they made a business. They live just across the street. They made a business out of buying these and putting them together for people and then demonstrating it to them and selling them. And they said they did really well. Last year around Christmas, they were selling out, right? That's also putting car companies out of business because people aren't thinking about it. If you live in a big city like New York, first and foremost, it costs a lot to have a car. There's not space to park your car. So proximity could put the car companies out of business in a certain area because New York City, I bet, doesn't sell as much cars around. And I'm talking about the whole city. I'm talking about Manhattan, where all the money is being made. That's what everybody thinks when they think New York City. Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. All these 5 boroughs make up New York City. You're not selling cars like you would sell on Long Island, which is the suburb of New York City, right? New York is this, I don't know what you want to call it, like punted football or flag blowing in the wind, kind of windsock looking shape. And then if you look at the bottom of it, there's an island to the southeast of it. That's Long Island. And it's the suburb of the city, and that's where I'm actually from. But they sell more cars because it's like here in California where you need a car to get around. And so, but these electric, not just vehicles, but electric skateboards, scooters, dirt bikes. I haven't seen a 4-wheeler yet, but all these kind of things are allowing people to get around without the use of petroleum, without having to pay, watch what I'm about to say, car insurance, car note, big money right there. Maintenance costs, right? Registration. Come on, man. If I could commute my 75 miles one way every day and I didn't have to pay all the money I pay for my car and insurance, I'd do it. Tesla, need you to make a flying contraption. Let's get it. Because I live so far, I was thinking about taking a freaking Cessna to work. Anyway, but this is what I'm saying, man. So like, Nikola is part of this conversation now too, but it's the same thing for Lucid. But I think Lucid is even worse off than Nikola, and I don't think they might be far behind them. I'm not saying they're a terrible company. You ain't suing me for slander. What I am saying though, I'm not touching it. The Blacksmith. Anybody got anything else on that? All right. So they have, we're back to the Lucid call. They asked him about acquiring the Nikola factory, and now we know how they were able to acquire the factory, right? Because Nikola is going under. Which one is worse, chapter 7 or 11? Sorry. One of them can restructure and the other one, Okay, 13. I never heard of a 13, but 13, I guess, is, I didn't do that. Did I do that? No, I want to know versus chapter 11. 13 is the restructure, yes, but then what's the difference between 11 and, I just found that out on camera. I thought 11 was the restructure, but I'm wrong. Chapter 13 is to restructure. And the only reason I thought that is because I believe Hertz, when Hertz was going under in 2020, Hertz, I think, did chapter 11 first, and they restructured the company or something like that. See right here, chapter 11 is more complex and used by larger businesses seeking to restructure and avoid liquidation. Because with 13, it said you have to liquidate and stuff to pay back debtors. That's what I thought. So I was right. Partially, I guess. In theory. In part. I don't know. And chapter 7 is just you're done. Chapter 7 is simpler and quicker. I don't know. It's bankruptcy, folks. All right? It's bankruptcy. I don't think Lucid is far behind. But anyway, let's see what they said about this. It may not be well appreciated, but the pace at which Lucid has been able to bring Lucid Air and Lucid Gravity to market was already incredibly fast and much faster than most OEMs are capable of. They were incredibly complex programs and substantial challenges that we had to, what you talking about, dude? We had to what? Where are we at? Overcome and are overcoming. All right. So right there, he's only talking about delivering cars faster than most other electric vehicle companies. All right. The midsize is just as difficult. And on top of that, uncertainty around tariffs. See, here we go. I told you. And so, okay, let me stop right there. So the current president, he is talking about, so President Trump is talking about one of his goals with these tariffs was to bring industrialization back to America. And so this company right here, and the way in which they do business, which they were doing this prior to him getting into office, well, not the first time, but I don't remember hearing about tariffs the first time in 16. But right now, their company structure is in direct opposition with the president's vision. Is that their fault? Not necessarily, but it is their problem, right? So when you talk about putting tariffs on folks so they'll bring industrialization back to America, think about that, because remember, the way in which you invest has to change up with the times and the news, which is why you have to have your ear to the ground. If you're going to be part company owner by being a shareholder in these companies, you got to stay up on the news and you got to think big picture. You can't always have a surface level view because this is much bigger. He's talking about tariffs, which means their parts and or their cars might be manufactured overseas. The only company where 100% of their cars are manufactured in America is Tesla. And I think Ford is close at like 70 something percent, but all of Tesla's parts now are not manufactured in America, but the car is put together and assembled in America and then sold, right? But so tariffs hit Tesla too, but not as hard. But anyway, let's continue. He said tariffs in the supply chain adds an additional layer of complexity. We are in the midst of sourcing and are able to make major sourcing decisions, hence, and are about to. Hence, we need to take the necessary time to fully evaluate the impact of our current developments to ensure we make the right business decisions for the long term, which is difficult to do in a rapidly shifting tariff environment. We are already working at a pace and a timeline that is very aggressive. So he's basically telling you they're trying to make strides, but the tariffs are blocking them. And supply chain issues, which means, if you can read between the lines, their supply chain is over the seas, right? So he's basically telling you, we're trying, but. So I would say, unfortunately, accelerating midsize isn't possible, particularly in this environment. I want to say that I want to say so that the distinguishing attributes of the Lucid Air and the Lucid Gravity will be definitely coming to mid-size. You can see that all of the positive reviews about the Lucid Gravity. Great. I love the Lucid Gravity, but I think the mid-size platform is going to see an even bigger game changer, or is going to be. We've got to focus on getting it right and not just getting it out. Well, he said a whole lot of nothing in that, in my opinion. He's talking about this mid-size, which I don't know if this is a tier of one of their Lucid Air or Gravities, or if this is a different car altogether. Don't care. What I care about, I don't care about the car or mid-size or whatever the heck he's talking about. They have supply chain and tariff issues, and they have strong competition in the automotive market, and especially electric car market, because not just of electric car companies, but common man petroleum-based companies, automakers are making electric cars, and they're already established and they're already household names, and they're at a price point that the common man, thus a heavier volume of people can buy, thus a heavier volume of cars can be sold. They're not going to sell cars in this current market. That's what I care about. Your major product is not moving. You better get into mergers and acquisitions and start making chips or freaking semiconductors, because I don't know what you're going to do with this car company. I don't know. I don't know. So on Nikola, so here we go, the chief financial officer. Now, here's my thing. If y'all didn't notice, I did say they had an interim CEO. Now, I wonder why I tried to, I can't highlight it, whatever. I'm not going to try. Mark Winterhoff is the interim CEO. Now, I wonder why they have an interim CEO. Did he step down or was he fired? Because, see, that matters too. Because if he stepped down or was fired, either way, it could be because if he stepped down, he gave up, I can't do this. I don't think this is going to work. If he was fired, it might be because the shareholders of the board put him out due to a lack of performance. Because if he was fired, maybe it was him. If he stepped down, you would have to see why he said he stepped down. And if he stepped down because he said, I don't think this is going to work, maybe the company's doomed. So that kind of nuance does matter, but they have an interim CEO. Now here comes the CFO, and he's talking about Nikola. So on the Nikola set specifically, I think it's important to make the point that this was highly attractive financial deal for us. So just to put things into perspective, for hundreds of millions in assets, we did pay approximately $17 million in cash. So that means they had it to spend. So that's good. They had cash on the books, plus 2 leases in Arizona that we assumed. So, okay. So they took over, and I'm guessing that's also from Nikola. So I think this could mitigate some of the CapEx that we need to spend. We will need to spend. For the time being, we're maintaining our CapEx guidance of $1.4 billion. So that's important. But I definitely see opportunity for this to be better in 2025. I don't. I get what he's saying here. They acquired factories, took over leases, got it. That still doesn't answer the question. How are you going to move your product? That doesn't answer the question, folks. I don't know for y'all, but for me, as a could-be investor, that doesn't answer my question. TSM. Let's talk about TSM. Taiwan Semiconductor. They're probably the best semiconductor. They're the best semiconductor maker in the space, right? The big problem with TSM is their proximity to China, right? Because Taiwan could be caught up in any kind of conflict when stuff is heating up with them. So America's not stupid. We saw promise in that company, obviously, because they're making all the semiconductors that go with the chips that NVIDIA, AMD, and all these other companies are making, right? So what did they do? My speaker turned off. Hopefully y'all didn't hear that. But if you did, oh, well, you're going to hear it turn on too. Anyway, so what did they do? They allowed TSM to come in Arizona and start breaking ground on a new factory so they can move their operations here. So if things here heat up and they have to shut down, they can permanently move their stuff over here. So that is how TSM will still move semiconductors if things go haywire. How are they moving cars? He didn't talk about that. He just talked about the problem with it. Let's go over one more, and then we'll go and jump over to Box. But we're already over an hour. All right, we'll come back to this, Lucid. But I just wanted to cover that story. Hey, DE, do you want to cover Elf before we jump into there?
I can, yeah. If you want me to.
Let's get it.
So basically with Elf, the last, I forgot if it was Wednesday or Thursday, they had their earnings call. They had a double beat on earnings per share and revenue. Everybody kind of freaked out a little bit because they didn't provide any guidance. So if you look at the stock price immediately after the earnings call, it dropped from probably mid 80s, I think it was in, and it dropped all the way down to like 78. And then right after that happened is when they announced this $1 billion deal with to buy out Rhode, which is Justin Bieber's wife's cosmetic brand. And then after that deal dropped, that was all she wrote. It jumped from $80 to like 120, 115, I think.
Yeah, I see the steep climb from May 1st. It was $62, and it had a steep climb. And you said they didn't do their earnings call until this week, so that would have been around the 21st, 22nd. It was down at like 70, $80. And then I see right here, it took a little dip on the 28th at 90, and yeah, up to 113, same day. Wow. Now it's at 112. What's the biggest thing do you think pushed it up that high? Was it the earnings call, or was it the merger or acquisition? Did they acquire or merge, or what do you think's happening here?
They bought it out.
They acquired it. Okay.
So the way they structured the deal, it basically provides what's her name, Haley Bieber, with a position in the company for the next however many years. I think it's like 3 to 5 years, and a lot of incentives for that company to continue to progress. So it's not just like, oh, we're going to buy it and then who knows what's going to happen. She's still got a lot of skin in the game to keep her company growing for the next 3 to 5 years.
Gotcha. Well, I see that they have the earnings call here. Maybe next week we'll go over that one. I'm actually interested in this one personally because while people may not have $30,000, $40,000 to buy a new car in this economy, they'll definitely spend 10, 20, $30 on a lipstick, some eyeshadow, some blush. The beauty industry is doing very well. So I'm gonna write that down for next week, and we can go over the earnings call. That way it'll give us some time to actually look into some of the specifics that we want to point out. But I'll definitely put Elf on the shelf for next week. And unless there's anything else specific you want to point out in it.
No, I think. Well, I haven't really watched the earnings call a whole lot. I only watched a little bit of it, but I mean, the biggest thing with Elf is they're kind of like they're the highest quality for like the common person. You know, some of these makeup brands are just ridiculously expensive, but they're like the common person's cosmetic brand with the really affordable prices, and it's not just cheap junk. They're really blowing up on TikTok. A lot of like these famous TikTok people will keep promoting it and stuff. So I think that's where a lot of traction is getting gained.
So let me ask you, as a veteran investor at this point, would you, the 52-week high seems to be this 219 right here, and the 52-week low is 49. It's currently trading at 112.97. is now a good place to buy it because you think it's going to substantially go higher? Is now a time to throw options on it? What do you think?
I think long term, like I'll be holding this for 5, 6, 7 years probably. I still think it's a good place to buy. I got in at $57.
I bet you do think
still,
it's time to buy. That's awesome.
I've still been, and that's even dollar costing up. I still have an average price of 57. The first shares I bought were like 48, I think.
Wow. Okay. I see that they do clean, vegan. So they're saying all the buzz terms of modern day, right? Clean, no one cared about that in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Vegan, no one cared about that in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. Cruelty to animals, no one cared about that in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s. We weren't barbarians, but just it wasn't all the videos of the cruelty to animals, of people smashing the cows in the head with the hammers, and them living in these cages where they've got corroded pieces of their flesh and not much room to run around. They're living in their own squalor. People never saw that stuff until like 2010 and on. Those videos really started to surface. So they're using all the buzz terms. So inclusive, they're probably talking about the letter community and all that stuff. Accessible, they're talking about I got you. People didn't really care about that stuff before, but they do now. So I think marketability is there. And when you talk about Hailey Bieber, I think marketability is extra there because of her. And if she's going to have a place in the company, they did that for a reason. Everything is money driven, right? Because she still having a place in the company is probably going to keep promoting it on TikTok and IG and all of that, which is only going to help their branding and their bottom line. So I think you're right. Now is a good time to buy. So if y'all are, and look, 75% of the analysts are saying buy it too. But I just broke down and he just broke down why you should actually buy it. So I think, I have some buying power. I might look into doing some options on this, which we may have to have you teach that options class again. All right, let's get to our piece de resistance. We wanted to talk about Boxable. So Boxable, if you're watching the video right here, which you probably are, yep, there it is. All right, so Boxable, let's first talk about society, right? We have a housing cost problem. We have a housing crisis. Not to sound so sensational about it, but there's a housing crisis out there, right? People can't, the average guy offers salary of $17.94 per hour cannot really find, that's only $37,000 a year. They can't find affordable homes, right? And so rent has gone up extraordinarily. So housing costs, the average standalone home or single family home is like $416 to like $520 or something like that. I know that's a huge range, and that makes a big difference on a payment of over 30 years. But that's what I found, right? And I found the average guy earns $17.94 or 97 cents, whatever I just said, $17.94. I made a short about it this week, right? Because, and this is why I always talk about, there's so much to be concerned about in today's world that you cannot just be clicking and swiping and scrolling all your time away if it's not edifying stuff. That's why I have a quote over here. Perpetual entertainment is the end of a man's CMD. Creativity, motivation, and drive. Like, you can't be creative and motivated and driven if all you're doing is being entertained. All you sitting there is, drooling while you swipe on your phone, looking at the next hee hee ha ha video. But I tell you what, it's not getting you anywhere in life. So how's that helping your housing crisis? What you should be doing if you got energy to swipe and you can go into zombie mode and play all these phone games and stuff. I love you. Understand something. You should be working more. If you can work 40 hours a week and then come home and swipe 5 hours a week, and notice you probably don't even know how long you do that every week because you don't count it. You just go into zombie mode. Your brain kind of goes into freaking, I don't know, energy saving mode and battery saving mode, and you just swiping. An occasional laugh comes out, and you're just wasting time. So Boxable is a company that makes energy efficient homes, modern smart homes. And as you can see, about for the 20th time, they can fold this thing out in a matter of minutes. Now, I know there's some cut editing though, so it doesn't show every step of the way, but this is how it works. They bring this thing, they fold it out. You don't need a concrete foundation, as you can see right here. Now in California, it depends on where you're living, right? And certain states have certain rules on it. But Boxable, here's the casita. The casita is a 361 square foot modular home, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, and it has full size appliances, washer, dryer, refrigerator, and they ship it with the home. Now the baby box is the smallest one. That's $120. Now, I could tell you, for the casita is 60 grand, and for the baby box is 20 grand. That's the total cost of it. Now, I'm not talking about tags, title, all that kind of stuff. I know that's cars, but see, MSRP is 60 grand, right? I'm sure there's going to be tax. The one bedroom casita is $100,000. This is the studio. So that's important, the studio. And it has a full-size bed in it too. But if you want a one bedroom, but look, this is California only though, it says in the top right. California only. Oh, their factory is in Nevada. It's in Vegas. If you want to see it, you can go there unscheduled and they'll give you a tour. Or you can schedule a tour and they'll give you a tour. This one is the 2-bedroom. 110,000. And let me tell you something. Companies like Boxable, Tesla's supposed to be making smart homes as well, and I haven't seen theirs roll out yet. Boxable's already rolling these out. You just have to watch zoning laws and see if these are acceptable. Before you go buy them, look for your state, for your county, whatever, talk to realtors and go to the county if you need to and see if these are acceptable, because you're still going to have to hook up water. It does have solar panels for power, but you might want to also still be tapped into the grid, especially in a state like Seattle that rains a lot. You might not be making enough power, or get a treadmill where you can run your own power. I don't know, bike. If you want to watch TV, get on that bike and generate your own power. I'm kidding, obviously. I don't know if they have generators and stuff like that, but you might be able to get one from Home Depot and hook up to it. I don't know. On this one, I'm speculating, but I think it has the ability to connect to the grid as well. But this is going to be the future. People are going to have to. They're going to have to. It's like the car companies, right? They have no choice. If they're going to move cars, they're going to have to drop the prices of the cars, because you know who decides the value of something. Now, I'm not getting into relationship advice, but, you know, this doesn't work so well when you're talking about women and their age and their beauty and stuff, and what they think they're worth and what they rate themselves. But any other thing that's inanimate objects, like a hat, this mic that I'm using, this phone, this in Nivea lip care, this Boom 3 speaker, it works for everything else. This box of Kleenex. The market decides. If enough of guys like me, the common man, walk past this box of Kleenex that comes in like I don't know, my wife buys it all. Like, let's say it's a 20 pack, right? And it's like $20 or $30, and we walk past it enough and it stays where it's at, they're going to say $25. We keep walking past it. They're going to say 30% off. It's $20. And they'll fly off the shelf. And you know what that tells them? They'll bring it back up to 25. They'll stay there again. It's all 30% off again. And then they're going to bring it to $20. Then they'll flirt with 22 and they'll start flying off the shelf consistently. Now that's where they know that they can sell it at. So the market decides what something's worth. And I saw something in the chat real quick. What you got? The housing market, something right now is the housing market is likely right now trying to shut them down. Yeah, you're right. Many cities and parts of cities ban modular and trailers to stop the lowering of prices and to stop folks from undercutting the market. It's not just that too, but you bring a great point, Senor. Let's talk about it because this is all money driven. So what else is why else are they trying to shut them down? Property taxes, because these guys might get around paying property taxes, but your standalone homes, your condos, your duplex, triplex, townhomes, they have to pay property taxes. How do you get these guys on property taxes with modular homes that can pick up and move these things and go wherever? It's almost like they're just renting space. They're not paying because they're not permanent homes. Yes, land. If you make them buy land to put each one of these things, then you get property tax. But I'm talking about right now. Right now, how do you get them to do it? Because they can kind of park them. So I have a backyard, right? It's a good sized backyard, but with that baby, where's it at? I'm on the casita. How big is this? 361, right? Well, that's the studio one. This one doesn't say how big it is. And this is the 2-bedroom, but look at that. 2 bedrooms. Well, that's what I was going to get to. He said, are you going to rent space? Hey, if you want to, just mic up. If you got some stuff to say, if you can, just mic up. You can come in and just speak on it. I'm looking for something real quick.
Cool. So I've looked at Boxable for a while now, been eyeing it for months. And it's a decent investment, especially if you consider, if you put the price of renting these things out for perhaps $1,000 and you can get them on decent discount, even if you don't, let's say you get them at $60,000 a piece. If you rent those bad boys out for a year, it's roughly at $12,000, and in 5 years, minus the cost of repairs, you're going to make your money back home. So if you then do rent to own after it has some wear and tear on it, or you then sell them after a while after you get your investment back, you're now just making money. So I'm thinking people are going to start using these more. And if they can compact them small enough that you can put them kind of with RVs or as pull behinds on trailer so that people can kind of go even camping with it, it's just going to increase the utility, increase the value of it. So this is something that I'm actually trying to get started myself. I'd like to see if the counties and cities around will allow me to purchase. Well, they can't stop me from purchasing, but I want to purchase a couple of these, get the land developed all at once for 4, maybe 5 of these things, because they're small footprint, small carbon footprint, it seems like small blueprint, put 4 or 5 of these on 1 acre of land and then rent them all out. So the cost of developing the land for sewage, electricity, that shouldn't cost as much as if I did each home individually as a separate project.
Yeah.
So once that's done, I can then rent these out and pass that wealth on to the children and teach them how to flip this game plan.
So real quick, one of the things I was going to talk about, right? You may be able to get these boxables, and then you kind of hit on it. You may be able to take these modular homes since they're so small, and if it's zoned for it, right? What I think is going to end up happening is that people are going to make these ADUs, additional dwelling units, right? And some people, what they do is if they have enough space, like I have space in my backyard, I could use another 10 feet and build another 10 feet onto the back of my house of more space and make an apartment or two or standalone apartment with its own entrance and exit in and out of my backyard and still have some backyard left over, right? Some people do that, but if you do that, you're supposed to report the extra square footage to the county because now you have to pay more property taxes, right? However, your house is going to increase in value. And this would be one way, though, that people can get around that. They can leave the house untapped. So it's 5 bedrooms, 3 bathroom, about 32 something on the square feet, 3240 something, right? And that's not a flex. What I'm saying is I could leave that as is with a 3-car garage and not, because technically if you make that garage an ADU, you're supposed to report that. That part of the house is not supposed to be counted in square footage for like tax purposes, I don't think. But if you made that an ADU and made it a studio apartment, you would have to. But I could use my backyard and just put those there. And now I didn't add any more square footage to my home. So I pay the same amount of property tax and I don't get taxed anymore. And I can start earning money off of homes in that from the property I already own. I could pay my whole mortgage and never have to come out of pocket for my mortgage. I could pay my mortgage down in half the time by doing that. So I think people are going to use these boxables as house hacks as well. And I think that's the part that's going to really chap the county's hide because they're the money, right? Why do we think we made weed illegal so long? They couldn't catch all the dealers and tax them. If Uncle Sam can't get their cut, okay, I get it, it's drugs, but let's be real, follow the money. I don't do it, but never done it. I'm just saying, if Uncle Sam can't get their cut, that's a problem. So yeah, you're talking about they'll shut them down because if you force people in the apartments, you force them into the system where they're paying into the system. If you force people into single family homes, you get property taxes. So you get money for your schools, for the firefighter housing, whatever, for the community, right? But if you allow them to run from the system and go elsewhere, they're going to do that. And it's not evading taxes because technically they just wouldn't have them, which is one reason we talk about the stock market a lot. That's one reason why they're trying to centralize crypto, because there's a lot of millionaires being made, but there's no tax put on those millionaires. So anyway, I don't know if you have more to say or if anybody else want to chime in. This is going to be the last topic we touch. We'll do the call for Boxable next week. I'll write that down as notes. But if you want to hit on anything else before we shut this bad boy down, because we've been going an hour and a half here.
No, that's it for me. I'm excited to see how many other folks are going to advertise it. And I may even start trying to make some trendy videos to get people in if we can get it pre-IPO, which, oh, by the way, that's what I was going to ask you about pre-IPO and how did you get them? Or are you going to?
I'm glad you said that, good sir. Man, I was about to shut this forge down. We were about to go cold. Let's see. Look, let me show y'all something. So this is still a private company, right? I think they did their first round of investing. I don't know how many rounds they're going to do. But when you're a private company and you're looking to go public, what you do is you do rounds of investing. Even as a public company, I think if you want to stay public, you can still do that. But you look for VCs, venture capitalists. That's people who are going to do the initial startup cost investing in your company. One of the reasons, and I know they'll say this, so I'm going to say it now so we can show both sides of the coin. The rich get richer, and we think from the I'm not rich perspective that that's kind of messed up, that they only allow you to invest if you're a millionaire already and you have to earn at least $200,000 a year to start investing. One reason they'll say, and they have a point with this one, is if you allow Charlie, who is a $15 an hour wage earner, to invest in Boxable with as little as $5,000, but Charlie is living paycheck to paycheck, and they need you to stay invested for at least 2 years until they go public, Charlie might need his money back because he's living paycheck to paycheck. And he may go and party one time too many. His car might break down. Most people are 1 or 2 emergencies from going broke, right? So if the car breaks down and you got a medical bill from an accident or something that you got to pay, wrap it up. It's a wrap. So if Charlie needs his $5,000 investment back within that 2 years, he pulls it out, which screws them up because they're counting on his money and the shares aren't worth what they need them to be in order to gain the profit they need yet. And that will happen big time with the average man investing into public companies. And that's the only one that they said that I've heard on the argument that I actually do agree with. But there are people who are more solid than that. But how do you vet all these people? That takes time. But if you just say, hey, millionaire status, and you earn this consistently for at least 3 years, I mean, that takes all of that out of it, because these companies for sure want stable investors until they don't need them to be stable investors anymore, right? So that's the one I heard. But anyway, this couldn't be simpler, right? So you just go to Boxable. It says invest now, right? You go here and it tells you what they're doing. So I think this is very smart of them, because they tell you they have 190,000 casita reservations, right? They didn't say which ones. It could be the 1 bedroom, the 2 bedroom, or the studio. They tell you they have 53 patent filings in the US and internationally, right? They have 3 factory buildings. So I know one is in Nevada. I've been watching YouTube videos on this. While y'all are scrolling and drooling, I've been watching stuff to invest. And I know DE told me he was watching a lot of investing stuff. You gotta get hungry for this knowledge because it's out there. But if you're broke in 10 years and you've seen all these videos and you read all these books, this is why I'm not a big fan of reading 50 books a year, because I'm a fan of reading 2 or 3 books a year and acting on the knowledge. If you're reading, Harry Potter's not going to help me. Aragon, I read that when I was younger. I don't know how a boy riding a dragon and fighting wars is going to help my pocket, but or my wallet. It's not. So I'd rather read 1 or 2, maybe 3 good investment books and put that stuff to work. All this knowledge just profits you nothing. Anyway, they have over 600 houses built. Now, here's the thing. If you watch some videos on the factory, they're going to tell you they crank out about 2 to 5 houses a day. Okay. $200 million raised and 50,000 plus investors, right? It arrives complete with everything. It's showing you the video right here. Look, it's got a stove. It's got an AC unit. Watch the videos on it. You'll see. See the full-size fridge? It's got the built-in microwave right there. It's got a sink. It comes with all your appliances. So you have washer, dryer, and all of that. And they ship those with it. Anyway, invest now. So you click that. Start an investment. It takes you down there to it. It tells you the share price is 80 cents share price 80 cents. So 80 cents per share. Minimum investment is $1,000. And they offer equity. You can't click this and change it. Series A3 preferred stock, asset type. I don't know what that means. However, this couldn't be more simpler. All you do is put in your information. Let's do this. Let me show this live. If anybody wants to mic up, you can. Let me put this in here. All right, now watch this. So it takes you to the window where it asks you how much you want to invest. Now it said the minimum investment was $1,000, but as you can see, it took me straight to 16. So it looks like Series A3 preferred stock is 16. I don't know, but it looks like it's not $1,000 anymore. So the website has old information. You can't be an investor with just $1,000. Now you need 1,600 at least. It says minimum investment 1,000. It said that when I did it, I chose 3,200 and got 4,000 shares. So with 1,600, you're going to get 2,000 shares. With 7,500, you're going to get 9,375 shares. Now you can invest more than that. So if I clicked it, here's the other thing. Let me not skip this. You get bonus shares, right? So if you invest 1,500, which you have to because you're at the $1,600 level, you get a bonus 1% in shares. You get 20 for 2,500, you get a bonus 2%. Just follow the chart. 25,000, you get 5% more, right? And if they give you an instant bonus if you're already a Boxable shareholder, or if you made a reservation or have an active casita reservation or investment reservation or casita reservation. Anyway, so it couldn't be simpler. You just follow the steps, and then it's going to ask you the investor type. Myself as an individual, joint if you're going to do it with somebody else. You could be an LLC, S Corp, C Corp. You could be a trust, or it could be a part of an IRA. So you select that. All right, let me just do this myself. And then you fill this out. And then once you fill this out, it'll let you uncollapse this. And then you have to pick the bank account it's going to come from. So what I did was I went to Robinhood. And I went to my account. And I went to profile. No, I went to transfers. And I went to transfer, where was it? Transfer money. And I went to, no, I did this on the phone, so pardon me. All right, I went to move assets within Robinhood. It's a little different. It's different on the phone, which is why I'm struggling right now. But basically, I moved money within Robinhood. Let me get off my personal info. But I moved money within Robinhood. So I moved it from my buying power here. Can y'all see what I'm saying? Yes, you can. To my spending account. Because when I went on Boxable to do this, and I linked my Robinhood to it, it showed that you could do from the spending account versus setting up a bank account. And I didn't want to have to wait to move money from Robinhood 3 to 5 business days to the account. So I just moved it within Robinhood, and then to spending $5,000, and I took the 32 out because I didn't know if it was going to be taxed or whatever. And then when the 3,200 came out, it left me with 1,800. I just moved it back into my spending power, and it gave me my 4,000 shares. Any questions, comments, concerns? Because it was that simple.
Yeah, I have one. Do you know where your shares are going, or where you're going? Is it, since you linked your Robinhood account, when it IPOs, we bridge or
you cut out
platform where you can, huh?
You cut out. You said, do you know where your shares are?
Sorry. Are going to be listed so that when it IPOs, you can sell them.
So they sent me an email with the information. I'll pull that up next week. But when it IPOs, and they may actually still be private for a while, I'll see if I can find, let's collectively look up as much information as we can on it. But I'll see if I can come with more information on if they're trying to go public and when. But when it IPOs, it's going to then be listed on stock exchanges. So that could be New York Stock Exchange. And if it's New York Stock Exchange, then Robinhood should have it listed. But Robinhood, if you look it up on Robinhood, if you search it, let me see. It'll show you, I forget how to get to it on the computer. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a spot, and I'm always on it on the phone. So you can look up IPOs on Robinhood and what the upcoming IPOs are. Actually, I sent DE one of these of an up and coming IPO. He sent it to me or I sent it to him. One of us. I don't know. But we always share that kind of information. So if it's going to be IPO and Robinhood's going to list it, it'll tell you that way in advance. And it'll tell you about where they think the evaluation is going to be for each share price. Does that answer some of your question?
Kind of. I just need, like, I know they're going to likely list it on several. My question is more so, is there any guidance from them when you the shares on where your particular shares are going to be? That's the platform you would have to buy them and sell them on through them, I assume. I mean, it's not like they would just throw them in Robinhood without your permission. So I wonder if you have to link a brokerage account and then that's where they get thrown into. But I'm also concerned with the fact that Robinhood was late to put out coins like the Trump coin. And so if you didn't get in with other stock exchanges, out on the ability to buy low and sell high.
All right, you said a lot, so let's get to it. I think I know what you're cutting out, but I think I know what you're asking. You're asking when I bought the 4,000 shares, where those shares, how do I access those 4,000 shares? So I think the answer, I linked my Robinhood to get the money out of there. But I think when they're going to go public, I'll have to follow the emails and the instructions they give me, because I could tell them I use the Robinhood brokerage, but there may be a brokerage like Charles Schwab that they may use that those shares might be listed on. I don't know. At this point in time, I'll have to tell you when I get those emails. But good questions nonetheless. And then the other thing about the Robinhood being late to the game with crypto. Robinhood is not your crypto leader. Your crypto leader is going to be, I mean, it doesn't negate the fact that you are right about that. Robinhood is not your crypto leader. I think Coinbase is much more into the crypto game than Robinhood. Robinhood just got stuff like, what's that one DE showed me? I'm in it, actually. XRP. They just got XRP a couple months ago, right? Coinbase have had that for years. Coinbase is the leader in crypto. So when you get news about a new coin coming out, don't look at Robinhood. Look at Coinbase. Look at crypto.com. Look at, there's some exchanges that are not available in America, so you have to be careful. And some of them are not as secure as other ones. So, but Coinbase is probably leading the market in crypto as the crypto exchange. So if they were going to list a new crypto, look at Coinbase first. But I will have to tell you when I will get more news on where those shares are going to be listed. You may get to choose. I'm not sure. Any more questions for the Forge Goes Cold? All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in to another Discord Live with the Blacksmith. This one went double long as the usual ones are. This one was a bonus, though. We let other folks mic up and speak. And these are the guys that are here all the time. And I appreciate you. I love you. The Forge is going cold. The Blacksmith out. Y'all have a great weekend.